Quit chirping. They should have the ability to speak in here.
We do.
Yeah, I can speak fine.
Yeah, Nafi's supposed to be able to too. What are you doing in the crowd, bro? Got the recording ready, Ter.
I started recording, bro, but I accidentally opened stickers. I mean gifs, bro.
Alright, who wants to ask a question first?
No questions allowed.
Not too fond of questions. Does anybody request to speak? No, we're not singing right now. It seems like everybody has stage fright.
Why is the entire chat just saying memes? I swear I saw someone say the lion.
There's Navi. Let's see. I'm gonna look at the permissions real quick. I'm gonna make it so staff can let people on.
Sky has a question.
I'm bringing Sky on here.
She asked it in the dev stream chat, though.
Oh, what was it? I'm looking at perms right now.
Has Colossal recently released papers on Direwolf's taxonomy changed any plans for how Direwolf will look?
Houndsman can answer that.
Oh. I don't really think there's been any revision on how we want Direwolf to look. I think that's entirely up to like best if that changes like maybe the color pattern or it's just the fur texture look, but the physicality and the way the model looks isn't really going to be any different than what it currently is unless King wants to make revisions.
No.
Then no.
Our Direwolf is perfect as is. You can expect the skins. So far, the only rule we've come up for the skins right now is every skin should have a mask of some sort. And then possibly light markings around the eyes. Because we plan on making it so that if you see a direwolf in the distance, you would be able to tell if it's looking at you or not. Kind of like the wild dogs in the show Primal.
Yeah, so no white direwolves.
Aside from leucism and whatnot.
Even then, don't expect it to look like the colossal animals. Those will look quite different.
So yeah, the model I made, just in case some of you didn't get that model, is just for jokes. I literally just edited the Grey Wolf model in like 3 minutes. Do not take that seriously.
Claw has a question. I got a question regarding the coyotes / red wolves. Are they both going to be added or only red wolves in the game? So I can let King say like what he wants to have like for the varied canines in the game, but I will address the red wolf coyote thing. Technically, you can just refer to it as either Western red wolf, Pleistocene coyote. It's more of just the more basal animal that helped create the modern species of coyotes, red wolves, and eastern wolves. The reason we went with that animal is even though it has a bit of a dubious taxonomical position right now, you can refer to it as anything you want. Pleistocene coyote, Western red wolf. It's just we went with the Western red wolf for now. it may be subjugated to change. But the reason we went with that animal over just the modern coyote is to have more creative abilities with the way it looks, the way it behaves, and so it integrates better into Sonora's ecosystem, hunting, say, peccaries and deer more frequently than, say, modern coyotes would.
All right, I got an answer for that first question. I'm gonna go down that. All right, so for the first question about having a separate version of the game, I don't know about that necessarily because the game is really only a year old at this point. I don't think it has, at least in my opinion, it doesn't have. I don't know. This doesn't have the charm to me to give it a quote unquote retro or classic version. But I mean, if you guys want it that bad, sure, maybe. But I'm gonna guarantee you that there's other projects we have that would guarantee that you'll get your fun because I know very well people usually ask that just because of the horses. But don't worry, got horse stuff planned. Um, servers where humans aren't allowed. I don't know. Me personally, I would leave that up to joining realism servers where they don't have humans or anything like that. Because I'm not sure if you're just worried about humans being OP or you just don't want that, like, see them. But irregardless, humans will. I plan on having them pretty balanced compared to the roster. And plus, at the end of the day, like, is going to be one of the slowest and weakest animals. um, in newborn foals, I don't know. It just implies that you would have to play as a potato. I don't know if a bunch of people want to play as potato. I'm not against it, but I think it'd just be preferable right now to do the smallest version of the animal that can be mobile.
And you're getting a whole string of the chat going, I would play a potato. If gray wolves are going to be changed to cover a greater range of diversity, I don't know how it was phrased. Will there be free black wolf coat variants with that revamp? Same question, and going along with Rodan. Since in-game wolves are going to be represented with the entirety of the Southern Clade, will the content of Wolf Dog Game Pass be changed? I can't really say like if there would be additional like there'll definitely be additional coats and there'll be a broader range of coat variations with encompassing into the southern clade. So as of right now in the current game, it's more based on the modern subspecies Mexican gray wolf, so Canis lupus bailey, which they're pretty unique from other gray wolves, but they're also fairly low in genetic diversity, so their coat types are relatively just similar to each other. But since we're expanding it to just southern clade that encompasses both Mexican wolves, buffalo wolves, Canis lupus nobilius, and what do you have it at? The Southern Rocky Mountain ecotype.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that definitely would encompass like a broader variety of skins. So like silvers, lighter grays, darker grays, all sorts of different things. But the wolf dog question of like there definitely will be wolf dog skins, so those will still be there. I can't exactly say like if we would add black coats onto themselves as unique skins, and then maybe add different coats that are definitely more like something you'd get from hybridization from domestic dogs and wolf dogs. Because if you look at direct hybrids, you'll see that they do look physically different, and they might have different coats compared to, say, a black wolf that's been naturally bred in the wild.
Yeah, we might possibly be able to get away with, like I mentioned before, the new models we're gonna try and implement as soon as possible. And since they'll be taking up less memory and we might be able to squeeze in more variability between the species, I guess. So there might be a slightly different model for wolf dogs, but we'll see. Funny you mentioned that. We just started on the final map that we plan on doing for Sonora, which I previewed back last year. It's going to be based on Isla Tiburon in, modern day Sonora. I don't plan on giving it 1-to-1 accuracy because otherwise, obviously, majority of the map would just be straight up grasslands. And what I want to do is kind of go more along the lines of the Cenozoic survival map, so we can have much more diverse biomes. Because I'd much rather show these extinct species in the diverse biomes that Pleistocene Mexico used to have. And plus, it just gives more variability in gameplay. But as of right now, we're working our way up from the coastline. So the first biome being worked on right now is the mangroves, which obviously, we're trying to have Bretzia be more specialized for the mangroves. American crocodile would be in there. What else? And maybe if we bring tapir back to the roster, it would be in there. Anything water related, anything coastal related. But on top of that, there will also be stretches of beaches and sandy dunes. So you can have your little horse herds and stuff on the beach without worrying about being in the muddy mangroves. Well, yeah, jaguar as well.
Can't forget about that one.
The rework for the models is going pretty well. Taking little breaks here and there. Like I showed last time, the last thing that was being worked on is whitetail, and as you can expect, I would just expand upon the whitetail model to make the new Bretzia and the mule deer. Aside from the antlers and the tail, obviously, we're going to be making the mule deer model a little heftier looking. So it's going to, just be overall larger, have a little bit of a shoulder hump.
It's a decent question, wolf pups.
Where is it? Oh, wolf pups
Kate
online.
asks, wolf pups win.
So testing for wolf pups has minorly been started. Like they're playable in the testing area. We already started testing regurgitation. We just have to wrap that up and do carrying. Start on carrying. The only thing is that I kind of paused that development wise is because I was again trying to figure out why the adoptions weren't working. But I think adoptions are a little better now. I haven't got a grasp on that just yet because I haven't got a ton of feedback just yet. If they are, then I definitely will get back to doing the adoptions and all the other baby animals. Because right now, I want to get the wolf pups in, obviously, get all 3 species of deer fawns, and then from there, I can't promise it, but I want to get at least 3 new species in before we start switching to the newer models. Because I really want to start getting more unique gameplay in there. So obviously, like I said, Puma would make it. I'm questioning Bighorn at this point. But definitely Puma's gonna make it in because we need a big cat. Um, Something else I'm not gonna say by name, but something to start putting the horses and the wolves in their place. But nothing too crazy. Um,
Yeah, we're not near American Lion just yet, so everyone settle down there.
and then another herbivore around horses size range. I was going to wait to release bison with direwolf and lion, but at this point, you guys could probably find it somewhere in the suggestions channel. But with the idea that I have for stress now, I might also start getting stress developed in. And I might just add bison anyways if we add stress. The idea I have for stress so far is making it so that whenever an animal gets hurt, they make a distress sound, and every animal is going to have a certain stress threshold. So obviously, flightier animals like horses would have a lower stress threshold. Threshold. I can't speak. You know what word I'm trying to say. But essentially, it'll be just like stress in any other game so far. The screen gets blurry. I'm thinking of having it so you hear your heartbeat, and so animals like horses would get blurred vision a lot faster, and the audio of their heartbeat would get louder faster. And animals like bison, it will be a lot. It would take a lot longer to get to their threshold. Um, Hopefully, we could possibly make it age based as well, so younger bison would be easier to stress out and make them spook. And it also adds realism in like testing herds and stuff. So you could bite several members of the herd, make them make distress sounds, and possibly start a stampede or something like that.
Someone asked a question. Um, will you add feral hogs? So, no. Feral pigs are relatively recent to this area, so they wouldn't be here. You would get a pig like animal with collared peccaries, or I don't know if collared peccaries is subject to be changed to a different species of peccary, but actual true pigs are not going to be present in the game. Now, maybe in other projects, there might be pig like animals, but not in Sonora.
Yeah, yeah. I hope somebody's keeping track of the questions because I'm at the very bottom of the chat, so everything's like flying by for
I'm
me.
trying. Most of them are just memes.
I'm gonna answer Aatrox's Smilodon differentiation. As of right now, what I plan for Aatrox is obviously it's a lion, so hopefully gameplay wise we'll be able to make it more grasslands oriented. But for the most part, you can expect Aatrox to be limited by its hunger, hopefully. So much like Asiatic lion ecology, usually the males don't go in coalitions bigger than 3, compared to like how you usually see African lions in coalitions of 4 to 6, and it's because they're limited by the size of their prey, so they usually eat axis deer, which are like 100, 150 pounds. So imagine splitting that between 3 adult male lions who can eat like 50 pounds each. And obviously the 2 most dominant males are going to eat majority of the meat, and the third guy is going to get scraps. So we're hoping to have something like that for Aatrox. So if you want a big group, you're going to have to hunt bison all the time. And if you hunt bison all the time, you're going to get, messed up a bit. Fatalis. I want Fatalis to play more like a tiger. So obviously in the more forested areas, and it's going to focus on prey in the forested areas. So if you at least like some idea of gameplay, as far as I'm aware, possibly Fatalis, just by being the way it's built. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it, but maybe just would have wider turn radius than Aatrox. But I'm not all in the science of that. But regardless of what happens, we're gonna like try our best to make it so Fatalis sticks more to the forest, and it's gonna be more in competition with whatever dire packs wander in there, Jaguar rather than Aatrox. An easy one, for example, would
Someone
be
asked. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say Aatrox would likely have more stamina than Fatalis.
Claw asks, my friend can't join right now, but this: how would humans be able to interact with animals in general? I think she meant if they could tame animals, say pet them and such. Um, I feel like that's a little like far to like. Maybe you have an idea, King, but I would think that's a little far off from what we currently are to really think about how humans will interact with some of the other animals.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, even if it were to happen, because at the end of the day, yes, there are like modern tribes today that do tame animals and just keep them around, but they're usually smaller animals. Like the biggest thing I've seen tamed and kept around in a village is like a tapir. I don't think you would get away with doing that with a direwolf or anything like that. But at the same time, we don't really plan on adding meso predators either. But it's a game. We're not gonna try and limit you guys on what you want to do. Again, make your own realism servers if you want to make rules and stuff of people doing behaviors you don't like. Because like CS, there's gonna be humans with like a pet American crocodile, 3 Smilos, and 20 pet direwolves. Like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to stop people from doing that.
There's a couple different questions. Rabies would also like to say something.
Go ahead. Or are you gonna ask it in VC or
I
are
don't
you
know if they're
typing?
going to type it or say it out.
I plan on having humans like be as immersive as possible. So I do want crafting. We're just gonna have to basically expect trying to make humans as us making a whole nother game. Which again, that's essentially what we're doing right now. Because games like Wild Savannah and Cenozoic Survival, their games lasted a few years before they tried remaking it. We're trying to remake our game while we're trying to make it in the first place, and it's again only been a year old. So that's a whole nother reason why development's kind of on the path it is right now. Not even including all our real life responsibilities. Um and laying and sitting emotes, they will be reanimated. Trust me, I'm not a big fan of them right now either. I just also haven't bothered doing it because animating in Roblox is a pain. And that's a whole nother thing that you guys like. This hasn't been told to anyone outside like the development team or people close to the development team. I have to essentially redo the rig for every animal in the game right now because a year ago when I first started doing all the rigs, I started doing them backwards and I have to remake them again and then upload them into Blender. But luckily, by the time I do that, Blender is a lot easier to animate in, which, to be frank, I should have done that again a year ago. But I'm stuck in my ways. I'm trying to get out of that habit. But we already started with the Gray Wolf. I have to do one more thing with it, but it's a lot easier. So typically for the most part, majority of the animations are just done by me alone, and I don't have a bunch of experience animating. But with Blender animating being a lot easier, I'm trying to get more members of the team started on that.
There were a couple questions that I wanted to go up to and say. I kind of like paused for a second. Let's see. Claw followed up their question with, "I don't following what you said, I don't expect an emote would be added for humans. So, like, would humans be making noise? I think that's what the question might be directed at. I mean, I think you have to kind of be a little creative. It may be I can't exactly say what King might have in mind, but I would expect mostly just say incoherent yells or grumbles for people, if anything.
Yeah, I've thought about that every now and then. Like Houndsman just said, it's either gonna have to be incoherent yells that just give off some sort of emotion, or we're just gonna have to go out of our way to make up a language. I don't know if we're gonna go through all that though. So far, development for non-mammals has only been the condor, the California condor. But I'm hoping to get birds started first. And like I said, we just started on the new map, and that's more of a marine-based ecosystem that we're going to be doing. So at some point, we will have to like start crocodile, regardless, just for like the sake of the map. Because I
Someone
think it'd
also
be
asked if any marine-based animals, like almost purely marine-based, would be added.
so far. I don't know about them being playable, but I'm thinking of, obviously having AI fish, possibly AI sharks that come in different sizes and might attack you if you're smaller than them. Maybe AI California sea lions, AI turtles, yeah.
Oh,
Um,
um, my ex-rat asks, how much Robux are you guys planning to make the new coats cost? If they're Game Pass, will humans have a craftable weapon, and will city and laying emotes be remodeled? To the last one, yes, that one will be fixed. So laying down, resting, all that kind of stuff. Most of the animations will get revisions.
um, the prices, I don't want to do crazy high prices. I'm not trying to suck you guys drive your wallet. Um, Again, at the most, the craziest skins would be the most expensive, like Perlino is right now. And at the end of the day, they're really likely to be limited as well. Um, but in the case of Leopard Complex skins, for example, the more they affect the base animal, the base skin, the more they'll go up in price. So if it's just like blanket pattern, it's just on the rump of the horse, it'll be a decent price. And then as the pattern starts taking over more of the horse's body, then it'll get more expensive from there, and they'll come in different packs. So obviously, like blanket will come with all the base colors, and then like near full will be like a whole nother set. It won't just be like you get one bay and then you know what I mean. One bay and one Grillo for each. Like they'll come in a pack. I don't ever want to make a game pass for you guys where it's just one skin. At a minimum, each game pass will come with 3 skins.
Claw asked a question. Are there going to be any deeper bodies of water for possible swimming animations? Yes, and I feel like that should also coincide with what King said earlier about the map. For those that like may not know what the actual location it is based off of, it is going to be an island. So there will absolutely be need for swimming animations, and all the animals in the game will be able to swim once that map is added.
Mm-hmm. and hopefully for the canal between the island and the mainland, I do want it to be that there's what's the word again? Uh, I don't know. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm really tired right now. But basically, you're gonna the current. You're gonna have to fight against the current, otherwise you're gonna get pushed out to sea. So it's not gonna. I don't want it to be real easy for people to just go back and forth between the island and the mainland. And as of right now, we plan on making it so everybody spawns in the mainland. You would have to actively make an effort to get to the island, which the island is fairly large as well. Um, so far, aside from the mangroves, and I think specifically pine and oak junipers, the most unspecified biomes of the map right now are quote unquote neotropical in arid areas, which could mean just about anything. We got neotropical be either forest or it can be like a plains that's just full of yuccas. We haven't decided yet, but again, we want the most diversity of biomes on the map we can get.
So, Sham asks, will ocelots, margays, or Nile crocs be added? Nile croc, definitely not, because there's already American crocodiles. There's no reason to add an animal that wouldn't even range here. Ocelots and margays, as King mentioned earlier, they're a mesopredator. Really the smallest predator in the roster, to my knowledge, would be Western red wolf, aka Pleistocene coyote, whatever you want to call it. That's really the smallest predator that is in the game. I don't know if there's any others that have been discussed or that might get added in the future, but as of right now, that is like the smallest playable. Is skunk one of them?
Well,
Not gray fox.
skunk's not to be taken seriously. It's literally just being added as a troll animal. um, but who knows in the future again if the game is still runnable by the time we get majority of the roster and I'll start considering meso predators. Well, particularly Bobcat because it can still punch up above its weight class. And foxes, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Limping animations will be added. So far, right now, I don't have any plans of making it so you get limp, like bone break from falling. I think you just getting damage is enough. But I do plan on making it so you get limping from injuries. So if let's say a bison rams you and ragdolls you, you might get up with a limp. And limping with if you get attacked by a big cat or something. It's going to be more of a blunt force trauma thing. Unlockables attained through survival achievements. Not particularly. There's not particularly any plans for that yet, but it's not off the table. We might do collabs with other creators possibly for you to unlock something in Sonora and unlock something in other games. We will see. Any playable snakes? I'm not sure. I don't want another layofish situation where people spawn as rattlesnakes just to go around and be a jerk and biting other players. And then the only other snake that's really in the area are boa constrictors. And again, you would at most be living off of AI or smaller players. So it's not necessarily like there's giant pythons or anything in the New World, and obviously anacondas don't go that far up north.
Yeah, like bear in mind that the smallest animals that are going to be in the game at the very least range like 50 pounds or more. So it's not really something that like boa constrictors are going to be frequently going after. which that's really the largest snake that would be in this area.
Larger animals, you can. I'm pretty sure it's in PW links. You can find the roster there. But anything larger than horse that's planned right now is camelops, bison latifrons, Cuvier erroneous. I'm not 100% sold on making Colombian mammoth playable for the average player for obvious reasons. But we'll see maybe one day.
We'll go. There's a lot of more questions coming up, but Rabies asks if are we still doing skin contest skins?
Yes, contest skins are still a go. And obviously with the way skins will be actual textures and not like whole models like I explained in a previous announcement. It'd be a lot easier to also do more unique contest skins. So like let's say we do a piebald direwolf, it would just be the one piebald direwolf for that contest, and we could do a whole nother different piebald for the next one. Foul AI are planned. Right now, the first one I'm trying to get in is turkey, wild turkeys, but it'll also be a playable.
Several ask, I'm thinking a shushing emote for dangerous situations, cryings for help, hums for. So a lot of like vocalizations and just general emotes are absolutely going to get revised with a lot of the revamps, especially with the new mesh deform models. And for a lot of the animals, particularly with like horse, I'm sure that we're going to be speaking more so for actual accurate sounds, such as maybe doing away with the 3 call for like some of the more accurate like blowing sounds, because I'm not super well versed on horse like sounds, but I'm seen a couple people like I stayed in suggestions, gave a really nice suggestion box for context specific horse vocalizations. So I think that's something that definitely will get looked at as we do more and more stuff for vocalizations and emotes.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a while now, but I will say it again in a previous announcement I made that where we plan on doing postures, so there will be like 1 through 4, the typical vocalizations for like broadcast friendly, threaten, and like distress or help or whatever. But those buttons will also create different vocals depending on the posture you make, which those postures will most likely come from 5 keys, 5 to 9. So, for example, if you do the 2 call right now, it'll just do like a basic whimper. And if you are in a posture where your head's lowered and your tail's wagging, and you do 2 again, maybe it'll be like another type of whimper, but you're also like sticking your tongue out, trying to lick at the another wolf submissively. So that's a whole nother reason why, again, mobile is going to be held back because we're going to have to just reorganize emotes in general, just for like computers alone. Because I really want to get PC control set up, and then we could start worrying about other devices.
Yeah, I love Candies asks, will blood and scars be added to injured animals so wolves slash predators have a chance to find a wounded animal, boosting? So potentially, if King would like to get in, if there will be like physical injuries that like display on your model, there definitely will be like say limbs or various ways to get injuries that will affect how you move around. But if King would like to address like if you can get scars or stuff like that or blood.
right now I have an idea to specifically make it so that scars might be locational. I can't promise it, but we might be able to squeeze in locational scars. So let's say if a bear smacks you on your head, you might get a chance to get scars across your face or something. But I can't promise it. But essentially, it means we're also going to have to take our time making skins because we're going to have to make a bunch of different locational scars of each skin and um, bloody fur and whatnot. Who knows? Because we might even go as far as adding muddy variations. So, and on top of that, obviously, that would be a lot of scripting and scripting the variables for those different situations.
Um. Okay. There's a couple different questions. Is fall damage going to be fixed when a predator bites a herbivore? Could it do some HP damage or a special attack with a cooldown that tears chunks of skin? And following with Esh said about scars, would we have saves like an Ecos where? Okay, so I get what you're saying. I can't really say too much onto the if you'll like respawn back where you previously were if you like say left the map and you might have like a saved animal with like say how long you've been in the game. That could be answered by King.
Hmm.
The second one definitely is a little harder to do, but still that could be answered by King. And fall damage is absolutely going to get revised. So fall damage is I'm pretty sure we're already like there's already been some revisions for fall damage, at least in testing.
Yeah, as of right now, for swimming itself is also going to come with a new like way system for fall damage. So that's already in the works automatically. What was the other two questions?
One
Oh,
was like,
saving. Um,
yeah,
saving is planned. Obviously, again, we're gonna have to redo a bunch of stuff. Um, because essentially, as you can tell, we're running off of current and past wild savannah stuff because Ludi is our main scripter. But essentially, Ludi has also been doing new stuff for us that will get passed over to Wild Savannah next. And I'm pretty sure he plans on doing that regardless.
yeah. And then the
So,
last one that they asked was if like hold on, let me go back up to it. It was like something along the lines of when a predator bites a herbivore, it could do some HP damage, which I think they already do, or say a special attack with a cooldown that tears chunks of skin. So like, can a predator like tear something or like bite directly onto a say a prey item, like in specific areas?
I would say it depends on the predator. Personally, I would relegate that more to crocodile in specific situations, but mainly home Ethereum if we do implement it all the way into the game. Um, Otherwise, we would just have people flesh grazing.
Yeah,
But personally, I'm not a big fan of just clicking and doing damage. The idea I have for combat is you're going to have to engage, and it's gonna have to be all or nothing. So either you're gonna be fully engaged in that fight, or you're just gonna have to give up. I don't want the game to be cheesy in any sort of way when it comes to combat.
so there's a couple good questions. One, the first one, Nacho asks, will Glyptotherium only be added as AI, or will it be Game Pass where you can play as the AI?
Me personally, I've also had some close friends ask about Glyptodon. They know who they are. Not Glyptodon, Glyptotherium. Glyptodon is cooler in my opinion, just because of the difference in the tails. I don't know. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of having Glyptotherium make it into the game, just because of the fact that it's a moving rock. But we'll see. It's not a complete no, but it's more likely it'll be a AI if it does get added. But at the end of the day, we are going to have a playable AI game pass. Um,
Rem asks, will there be any reworks on stamina for horses? I say this because it's hard to defend yourself as a horse when stamina is taken very quickly. For example, protecting yourselves from wolves or in spars. Quick turns or even stomps takes a whole bunch of stamina, and oftentimes sparring is ended not only because of how low your health is, but because stamina is just a quick topic. I will say that I think we have revived. I think horses will have some kind of sparring, if I'm not wrong. King can answer that. So I wouldn't really think that it's you. I wouldn't say you have to worry about horse fighting going to be the same as it's going to be currently for when horse gets a lot more attention to it.
we'll see, because I'm not a big fan of mini games. I'll just get that out the way right now. I'm not a big fan of mini games. I'd much rather, which I do plan on doing, the remaking horse combat completely and making it so that there's more quote unquote combos, but more variations in the attacks you can do. So if you're holding S and you hold A and you do attack, you do like you just kick with your back left leg. Same thing if you're doing S and D, you do your right leg, and if you're just holding S, then you do both legs. Um, Hopefully having rearing up be some like a pseudo dodge where you kind of negate damage. More of a parry, I should say parry. Having rearing up being a parry. Um, I'd just much rather combat be fully integrated into the game than mini games. Mini games get on my nerves.
I'll say under that aspect as well is it kind of does make sense, even though it can be frustrating for like herbivores in particular to like have a lot of stamina drain. But you kind of do have to put it in perspective of not just your own species and you're fighting amongst each other, so stamina is going to be impacted by the amount of physical exertion you have, but also for carnivores. Considering that you do need to have like the smallest number of wolves to be effective at taking down horses is like 4 wolves. So as long as you keep an eye on your stamina, it's not going to be super bad. There might be like revisions to it, obviously, especially as there are more changes to say movement or locomotion or a variety of or animation changes. There might be increases or decreases in stamina drain or how quickly they drain based on when they're latched. So there'll probably will be revisions in stamina and how they work. Just can't say exactly how that's going to be as of right now.
Yeah, because overall combat is a combination of things from the agility, like how I just changed that a bit recently, and the different attack combinations that we plan on adding, and stamina itself. But you should expect that attacks, for the most part, will be less stam costly when the combat rework comes. And then obviously the more exaggerated damaging attacks would cost the most stamina.
I Love Candy asks, please make it to where you can at least be one tiny thing king. I'm begging you. And also, if horses are fleeing slash running, would a future feature be trampling? Like if you get stomped by a huge herbivore, carnivores running, example, the small animals would take damage, or is that a question you guys are still pondering?
Mm, I would have said no if you didn't mention small animals. We'll see. Because again, even like charging attacks like that are a little cheesy in my opinion. And people tend to abuse them. So you can already imagine like a herd of 10 bison just coming at you with a charge of some sort where they're trampling or just coming at you with their horns. Um Drought suited animals in the future. You could guess Camelops would be like that. Tetramyrix is planned to be more drought suited, as well as Bighorn. Um, we I'd have to do research on it, but we also plan on making it so some animals will also be able to drink seawater. But for the most part, you should expect there to be less water in the northern areas of the map and water to be more plentiful throughout the seasons in the southern areas of the new map.
Carney asks, will there be any skin customization, like the ability to change eye color, etc.?
I want there to be as many diverse uh, animals as possible. So yes, you can expect to. Hopefully, we can do like a slider, possibly for people to change the contrast and darkness of individual skins, and same thing with the eyes, much like Wolf Quest has right now. But we'll have to wait and see, because anything regarding customization and saves, that's gonna have to wait for like a whole menu rework, and then everything that comes tumbling in after that.
Savo King must add Homotherium as a playable, please. I think Homotherium's still actively debated. The reason why is because there's already so many cats in the game. Counting, as you just asked as well, Random, about Mira. We can get into Mira Sononix and Puma. But Homotherium has a decent shot at being added. It's just still being discussed on Jaguar, Mount Lion, and Mira Sononix. So that's a lot of cats.
Yeah. A lot. Just for a
We
majority
still
of
have
them to
five
get
cats.
stomped out by lion. um expect Mira to be a decent amount faster than Puma, but Pumas as they are kind of fast as they are. Um for the most part, possibly gonna make it so Mira is more social. But expect Mira to play more like Asiatic cheetahs, possibly with a hint of snow leopard mixed in.
Golden asks, carrying slash dragging juvenile and small prey, for example, a coyote grabbing a fawn and trying to find a safe space to eat it from its prey, or a puma stealing a wolf cub from a den.
Well, again, Wild Savannah has had that before. If you specifically mean grabbing live prey, there was a time years ago where lions were able to grab Tommies while they were alive. I think warthogs too. So it's not off the table. Just obviously, I don't think it'd be that easy from the fact that it's not dead and it's going to be making a lot of noise while you're running away.
Okay. Mixrat asks, will there be any feature where players can't go through each other like Roblox characters? So basically, if will there be features that prevent people from phasing in and out of each other? So
Personally,
collision.
it's not a big concern for me. The only thing in my mind for collision is people getting in and out of dens, which it's fine right now, but it could be better in my opinion. Um, I don't know, because player on player collision can cause a lot of things. Because obviously, like, let's say if you're playing as Wolf and you're running at a horse, and then the horse is at a certain angle in the terrain and you're above the horse, what if you full sprint at it, and instead of latching onto it, you go flying off the horse like some sort of ramp, and then you take fall damage? Like, funny stuff like that can happen.
So,
Um,
Jam asks for koi wolf. I wouldn't really think koi wolves would need to be a thing because for the animal that we're Pleistocene coyote, Western red wolf, whatever you want to call it, it's gonna have varied skins. Like if you can look at the announcement that King made about it, it'll have coyote-like skins, red wolf-like skins, or eastern wolf-like skins. So there will be individual coats that look more like, say, a wolf than say they do a coyote. But I wouldn't really think that there'd be a need to have like a Game Pass koi wolf. There will be koi dog-like skins, so you will have some Game Pass skins that the Pleistocene coyote or whatever you want to refer to it as will have some hybridization with domestic dogs, giving it some varied coat colors.
I saw a few questions about weather, but yes, weather is like different weather is planned, so hopefully we'll get different severities of rainstorms all the way up to thunderstorms that will cause forest fires. And hopefully at some point we can also make it so that forest fires also start if the grass stays dry too long. And it depends on how laggy it would cause the game to be, but I do think it'd be interesting to not just have the fires relegated to the forest like tree models and stuff, and maybe make it so it actually does travel across grass terrain. But we'll have to wait and see. I do also want it to be so like vegetation is also affected by like high severity storms, so that they'll shake a lot more and whatnot, and possibly more debris flying off of them.
Affinity Avenger asks, will predators like bears and lions and wolves be able to dig up dens or dig up something from dens, like how bears dig up wolf dens for their pups or how lions dig up warthogs?
Honestly, just to keep it a buck, we would either have to keep dens the way they are now or switch to more so the den style that the wild savannah recode is going to have, which that comes with its own pros and cons, to say the least. I feel like those kinds of dens would just be less unique otherwise, unless we still go with the way we like do a mix of the dens that we have now and simply make it so they are also sort of like the wild savannah recode dens, and that you can change how the size of the den is, but it's hard to say.
So Nacho asks, how will there be developer only animals? I
um
think Colombian mammoth, maybe? Question mark.
I mean, yeah, so far the only thing that I plan on being a dev animal is Colombian mammoth. Otherwise, like, I don't see the point in making a whole new animal just for devs to have. Because the only reason like I mentioned before, Colombian mammoth is gonna be dev only just because people would be jerks with it. But I think it would still be cool just to see that big of an animal moving across the landscape. And if you guys see it, maybe you could go take a screenshot of it or something. Like, it would just be cool aesthetically to see it in the map.
Maya X Rat has asked, will there be any music in the game added that any of the developers or members have made specific soundtracks for the menu, etc.?
As of right now, I don't have a plan to do general music, like have music that just starts playing out of nowhere. Um, Possibly biome based music, maybe. So the desert would have its own atmosphere sound, like its own ambience and music compared to an oak forest. It's more of a vibe thing to me. So I don't expect to have like a Sonora theme song playing all the time.
Can you add a feature that if herbivores eat too much fermented fruit, they become alcoholics? And
Maybe,
it would
I don't
be it
know.
would be funny.
I'm not against it, but obviously it would
I
have to
meant
be
in
another
oh,
guy.
they meant in a menu only. So like if it was just going to be say a menu soundtrack.
Oh, I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
When humans are probably going to be fairly far off in development, like likely past a lot of the even bigger megafauna, like say American lions, bison latifrons, and stuff like that, just because that's less of a general concern.
Yeah, humans are gonna have to wait until we at least get a good portion of weight classes and different gameplay styles in the game, and then we'll switch to working on humans. Because again, humans will basically be, as far as I want for immersion, it's going to be making a whole nother game. I don't want it to be like you spawn in and then everything the human does is in its inventory or something. Like, no, I want it to be actually like you pick a stick up and then you get twine and you put a rock on there and you tie the rock. I want it to be pretty interactive, not just you craft a spear and the spear pops in your hand.
There was a comment that I totally forgot to address, but I just remembered it. Someone wanted to ask if we have any idea on how mountain lion pouncing is going to be on, say, horses or whitetail deer.
Again, as I just said, I'm not a big fan of mini games, so expect big cat pouncing in general to be a combination of luck and stamina, and very likely weight classes. So a puma would have an easier time bringing down a subadult deer than it would a fully mature deer. But
Yeah.
it will
Um,
also likely be determined by pounce placement as well. Um, we'll see.
I love candy horse remodel win. So if you didn't hear earlier, the mesh deform models will likely start being implemented after I think a few other species, like some newer ecosystem dynamics, are added. So at the very least, mountain lion is probably the most well confirmed one. I can't say like what you might have in. I know there's a few that we're keeping quiet about, but they're bighorn maybe, but a few other animals will be added. And then once those animals that we've currently mentioned are added into the game to add some more diversity to the ecosystem, then they'll start being remade into their mesh deform. And then every model after they've been revised to mesh deforms will be mesh deform after that.
And trust me, like I've mentioned before, there is things being worked on right now that hasn't been announced publicly. I will say right now, like Jaguar has a finished model. It just needs some slight edits in the facial region, but otherwise the model's done. It already has several textures that Houndsman went through,
Oh,
and it's
nightmares.
mesh deform as well. It's not split model.
Rem asks, oh, so I can answer this question. Yes, horses will get a lot of revised vocalizations as well. I'm gonna see if because there's a suggestion from I believe it's iStayed in the comment suggestions for context specific horse vocalizations, and I definitely would like to look into that more so because I'm not super well versed in horse vocalizations as well. There's MC, so we'll be able to get people that are can get better vocalizations for what horses would actually sound like in certain situations. So yeah, that'll definitely get revised.
Yeah, just expect all emotes, vocal emotes, and body language. Everything is gonna get redone with when we start doing the different emote remakes with the poses and whatnot.
Yeah, and as is of what MZ is posting in Deadstream thing, if you haven't already seen some of the mesh deform remodel work, you can look in game previews and see the revised Southern Clade Mexican Wolf, the Pleistocene Coyote, Western Red Wolf, whatever you want to call it, and the Western Horse, and even some of the other animals that have also been previewed, such as I'm pretty sure the California Condor is also in there.
And regarding texture, yeah, it's smooth right now simply because of the fact that the best way I can explain it, that we're gonna try out a bunch of different styles. So don't expect our models to always be as realistic as possible. So for all you know, the fur might not be like actual HD fur, and who knows, it might be like literal paint splotches, similar to like animals in the long dark or even shelter or something like that. But nothing too crazy. But we might lean more artistically for the fur textures. Um, but otherwise, yeah, some animals will be smoother, some animals will be a lot more rough looking. So like bison would be rough looking, camel would be rough looking, coyote possibly. I, Texture is a big thing for me for the visuals, as well as um just the overall mass of animals. I really like giving my animal models some mass. Rough looking, like how you see the wolf's fur texture in the screenshot MZ sent. That's what I mean by rough looking. But at the end of the day, it really all depends on what we settle on. Possibly seeing how the community feels about each style, but we'll see. Like we'll have to go through what we like first. Um, at the end of the day, we could always just keep it the fur. Actually, no, I don't think it would have to be a whole lot of extra steps to keep the fur the way it is right now, as well as like doing custom skins. But we'll see.
How long do you guys think it'll take the update to come out?
I don't want to give a certain date, but I definitely do want to push out something big by the start of summer. Because again, like I said, I'm gonna have to redo rigs, and we're gonna have to go back to testing, swimming, regurgitation for wolf pups, carrying wolf pups, getting a deer fawn in, and as I mentioned, setting up at least 3 new species minimum before we start doing the new models. So that might be split into like 2 different big updates. So you have update 1 and update 2, and then whatever hot fixes come in between. like I mentioned before, we're at a stage right now where we were building up a game, but now we have to tear it down and build it back up again, brand new. And it's not like the game has been sitting here for 2, 3, even 5 years. Like we just started and we're restarting from scratch again. And again, we are first time developers. Like Sonora is the first Roblox project we ever started. And we're all still learning.
Yeah, the project is going to take, as I was just saying in the chat, take time. If it takes longer, 100% understandable as coding and animating takes time. That's, yeah, we understand that. And we want to be able to push out stuff so people, because we all understand it is a little, it can get stagnant at times. I'm actually surprised with how long and how active the community has been
Yeah.
since like some of the last bigger updates were pushed. But it's a good sign. It is a good sign because people can have a lot of fun with the current state of the game. But we definitely want to push out more things so that there's more enjoyable, not just with the current animals and the current gameplay, just to make better quality. So that's why one of the other hot fixes that will come will be like animation revisions, and me, Terror, King, and all, and I'm sure Best as well have all started to work on just revising some of the animations so that they're smoother and that they look better. Bless whoever's doing the horse.
Yeah, the best way I can explain the animations being smoother, more fluid from us animating them in Blender is, for example, like the wolf's current sprinting animation. If you look really closely, it's more snappy in the spine, but hopefully with the Blender animations, it would be a lot more fluid and wavy in the spine, if you get what I'm trying to say. And overall, yeah, at the end of the day, we made this game because we're big fans of Wild Savannah, big fans of Cenozoic Survival. The game wouldn't exist without, like, figuratively and literally, without those developers creating their games. We are making this game so we can have fun too, because obviously, as you guys can see, we're not pushing out a bunch of game passes to make money from slop. Like, this whole thing is for us to have fun alongside you guys. So we, just as
So
much as you guys want new content added, but we have to work on it.
So, Black Bar, I'm sad Coyote is going to leave. It is the only game we're playing as an unrated Yote, at least quality. Excited for Red Wolf though. So I'll say, don't be too sad about it. It's not just the term Red Wolf is just one of the varied names that it has. You can also refer to it as Pleistocene Coyote. There's a lot. It's basically just the ancestral animal that helped make modern coyotes, modern red wolves, and modern eastern wolves. So there'll be skins for all of those animals. So there'll be coyote-like skins, there'll be red wolf-like skins, and there'll be eastern wolf-like skins. So everyone can be happy. They'll fit better into the ecosystem based on their proportions, and so we can have a lot more creative variability with that particular animal.
Yeah, because aside from Dire Direwolf, it's gonna be more adaptable to the different biomes just based on just the raw power it'll have, especially in groups. So I'm pretty sure packs of direwolves would do just fine in a forest situation as they would in a plain situation. They would just have to compete as they would with each big cat and bear group that they come across. Coyote slash red wolf, it would be more adaptable in just avoiding confrontation. And then gray wolf would be an in between.
So yeah, and that's I kind of want to jump back to why like those are three different niches. You have like the avoidance animal, you have the animal that would be confrontating with most of the say other big megafaunal predators and prey with the dire wolf, and the very on the other end of the spectrum you have like the Pleistocene coyote is going to be kind of avoiding confrontation and just kind of being the little scavenger, little small pack hunting animal. And you have the in between with the southern clade gray wolf. That's why Homotherium, jumping back on that, is still being questioned if it's going to be added because pretty much every niche that you have is being occupied in game by another animal, with Aatrox and Smilodon just being the really big heavy hitters, Jaguar kind of being in the middle of that, and then Myrcenonyx and Mount Lion essentially being a little variable, but also being a lot less confrontational.
And plus, on top of that, each of the cats will also be more separated by the terrain that they can use. So obviously Jaguar would be best in the mangroves and tropical areas than it would in the desert areas. It could still do it, but it would be a lot harder. Meanwhile, Puma and Myrcenonyx will do better. Well, I would say Puma and Myrcenonyx could be more adaptable than everything else because of their speed and their smaller size. Lion would be more limited just by their hunger and the amount of space and prey that they would need. And obviously, you would expect pride to compete with other prides.
Yeah, and I get what Gold is saying. Many animals overlap in their range and compete for resources. Yes, that is true, but this is also a game. This is definitely it's trying to emulate an ecosystem, but it's there's only so far you can go with that. And if one of the animals is just kind of an outlier into a really big degree, especially when you already have so many cats, I think there's like 5 cats if you also include if I think it might be 6 if you include Homotherium. I'd have to recount them again if we're counting Myrcenonyx as a separate species.
Yeah. Um,
But that being said, it's still possible Homotherium could still get added. So don't take it as like, oh yeah, we're just making it. We're just explaining why we don't want it to be added. That's not what's being said. It's just we don't exactly know yet.
yeah, and even if we do add Homotherium, it would be more specialized in hunting bigger prey with ease. So it would, let's say, be better at bringing down elephant type animals better than Aatrox would. But, you know, it would all depend on how gameplay and growth goes for Cuvieronius and if we decide to make Columbian Mammoth a public animal.
I like that question on Black Vardar. So, have you guys already thought about what direction you'll be going when it comes to Anacyon sound design? Wolves, doles, painted dogs, and Maine wolves. We actually were doing that, I think, 3 days ago,
Hmm.
and came to some pretty fun conclusions for some vocalizations. We've had other vocalizations down for a little bit. It just, whenever someone in the dev group finds a sound that is unique, I kind of tweak it around a little bit to see how it will work. And we had some decent breakthroughs with at least one of the vocalizations that I think probably sounds the best out of all of them so far.
Yeah, you can expect the vibe that Direwolf will come with will be more menacing and ominous. So I wouldn't expect wild dog sounds.
Yeah,
Maybe
don't
Maine
like really
Wolf.
think chirps or whistles like you might have with doles and wild dogs. Think more of I wouldn't even say gray wolf honestly with some of the sounds that we have.
Mhm.
It's just fairly unique. It's canine like, but it's not too much like any contemporary canine that we have today.
Yeah, and expect some of those sounds to be really gross, is the best I can say. Um, let's see. Mm-mm-mm.
Until some other questions get added, I would also like to add on to another animal that we at least have confirmed. Smilodon is another thing that I have been working, trying to figure out decent ways of adding some varied vocalizations. And I think the direction Smilodon might go probably is not gonna where it's likely not gonna roar like Aatrox would, so I wouldn't expect like say tiger roars or anything like that. And I don't want to use jaguars, even though I know a lot of people really like jaguar sounds for Smilodon. We already have jaguar, so I don't really see the point in doing that. But I would like to make Smilodon in the same way that we have with Anasion sound unique from almost every other contemporary cat that we'd have in the game.
Hmm.
Oh,
Definitely.
someone asked about the chupacabra skin for coyote.
Overall, I'm just gonna straight up say that I haven't gotten into any holiday skins yet. Just again, overall development, it wouldn't make sense to the same reason I brought up the announcement with the 30 something horse models we have in the game right now, just from all the different variations and then the variations for each life stage. Um, Most likely going to wait until we start getting the remodels in, but expect the more, basic game passes to come for what animal we haven't done yet, coyote, um, possibly some deer ones. We still have to finish up some compensation skins. Because right now, I will say we plan on doing. I think it's two different skins for each
Mhm.
mule deer and whitetail, two different styles
Yep.
of piebald. Um, but I would say expect each species to get at least one special game pass until we get the new models in. I don't think we should
S-
do dump chupacabra on coyote and not do the koi dogs.
Agreed. Sky asks for animals like wolves, will there be something that prevents people from just popping out pups whenever? For example, wolves only able to place adoption sites at dens.
Mm. So I don't think I really talked about it that much, but we do plan on doing nutrition. And the way I want nutrition to be is first of all, consider it that if you eat and nutrition will take away from like every time your hunger bar goes down, your nutrition will go up, and nutrition will limit how often you can heal. So as you're healing, your nutrition will go down, and if your nutrition is 0, then you won't heal anymore. Um, as well as babies, depending on what animal you're playing as. So obviously, animals like wolves that have like litters, having a pup will take less nutrition than it would if you were a horse. And then obviously, nutrition will also be based on your diet. So that'll probably encourage migrations as well. So, depending on what species of herbivore you are, you'll have to eat like a certain type of plant or plants to get your nutrition up. And then carnivores, maybe they'll get nutrition from eating organs, but I'm not sure how, first of all, the Roblox ratings, and then, everyone's individual comfortability with seeing an animal's insides. And even if we did go with that, they wouldn't be realistic. We wouldn't make them hyper realistic. That'd just be too much, especially for like a public game. um, Even then, we could possibly make it so if you're specifically eating from like a corpse's stomach, you would get nutrition, and then obviously that would key into female animals taking care of themselves more because they have to worry about health and having young, and they would possibly compete more with other females of the same species for access of those food sources. And that would also possibly lead to males defending areas that are rich in resources. That's essentially how I want most realism to go in Sonora. I don't want it to be forced realism. I want I want it to flow naturally. So don't expect me to ever do things like I said that will prohibit however you want to play the game. It would just be more of a bonus, really, if you want to like play the game realistically. But it won't be a
So there's
hindrance or a nuisance.
two things. One from Black again. Have you considered adding humans to the roster eventually? So yes, humans will get added. Um, Domestic dogs are also, if you look at the roster, unless there's going to be any revisions and changes to what gets added with humans once they are implemented into the games. But I'm pretty sure domestic dogs still is planned, but that's going to get added with people. So any
Yeah,
kinds of any human influence, domestic animals included, which really there should only be domestic dogs. They'd be added alongside Homo sapiens.
and we would have to look into it, but how the domestic dogs would look. Obviously, at the end of the day, we could make them as sort of these little wolfy looking things, but to differentiate them from the other canis, I think it would be better off to make them a little more dingo-ish looking. But we'll see. But they'll
It's
also
still
come
in
with their own
discussion.
perks. Yeah.
Mhm. The other thing, S by Myrex, would you guys accept fan art on the game somehow if you were satisfied? I mean, I don't see why not. Carolina dogs are yeah, I would probably say think about Carolina dogs, but dingo would also be on the table just because you'd have a lot more variation and distinctiveness. So you'd have a lot more skins to work with to give it a lot more variability. Juvenile stamina, younger animals having lesser stamina than adults, so endurance hunters like wolves and maybe bears can have a chance to outrun them and down them unless this was already planned slash added.
Um, as of right now, baby animals have more stamina than adults, but they are slower. So you would catch up to them, regardless. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, at the very most, you might get a situation like Whitetail where they have decent stamina, but they are far more susceptible to losing stamina once latched rather than just having less stamina. Because it's going to be really annoying for a baby to keep up with their parent that is much larger than them and can likely cover distances over a longer period if they just have really bad stamina.
And that plays into why I don't think we should add potato babies.
I would say especially for ungulates, because with ungulates you don't have, at least with den sites. At least with some other animals, you have like dens to raise young in, so there's less of a need for that, and you regurgitate food. But for ungulates, they have to follow their parents around, and it doesn't really work if you're going to get eaten immediately because you just aren't fast enough or strong enough to resist any kind of predation event.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, unless they're like a cervid and they hide their young, or like pronghorns and they hide their young, majority of ungulates babies are going to be up and running within the hour that they're born, and like an hour in the game is like 2 seconds.
Even then, I'm pretty sure fawns like continue to hide even after they become more mobile. So you can kind of have the best of both worlds with, say, deer fawns, to where you can hide and you can be effective at it, but you can also be mobile if you wish. To because the domestic dog is still getting spoken about. We don't exactly know how domestic dog is gonna look. The reason why primarily we'd want to stick to, say, dingo or S Carolina dogs, which even then that's not guaranteed either. Like there still might be revisions to all that, but it's mostly to help them be differentiated, but also don't go too far into domestication because, well, yes, there are some very unique domestic dogs that are very, very primitive. So, like Pharaoh hounds or a lot of sight hound breeds. I still feel like that'd be a little too far for this current state and time. There aren't really any, to my knowledge, I don't think there's any speculation that these were distinctive breeds. These were just a domestic canid that just hung around the human settlements.
Yeah, and as far as I'm aware, we don't have a lot of evidence of domestic dogs in North America, let alone we haven't really found a lot of bodies either in North America, so it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
guessing game.
I think maybe village dogs might also be up onto the table, so you just get a lot of variation from there. But that's, once again, that still is being discussed, and that would be pretty far off from what we currently have.
And I'm thinking we wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. So any questions you guys have left, think of them now.
Any questions for me?
What shampoo
And
you use?
any at all? I need to change my name. Don't call me Bogra, dude. Yeah, I'm at work. Well, I just got off, but I'm at the office.
See, we're all work guys.
I promise I'm not being lazy, y'all. It's only 24 people in here. The usual suspects I see.
When will I make a good
Well, a
game?
lot of people, we had a
When you
decent
shut
amount.
up.
It's just most people heard what they wanted to.
You know, guys, I think we should like ban the Last of Links. I don't really like what he said to me.
No. He's not a fun guy to be around.
Can you turn the slow mode off? I thought she said something else. Yeah, let's use power. Ooh, it stinks. Let's wrap it up, guys. Hate me because they hate me. Link, send me some of your favorite Frank Sinatra songs. This guy
Yeah.
here now, this sucks. Off the record, I would whoop Moosh in like any form of combat or video game or real life or fictional. It doesn't matter. I would beat Moosh up. Biz Terror recording, bruh. I'm not cursing. I haven't said a bad word.
And it's on record now. So you gonna defend yourself, Moosh?
Well, on the record, I would beat Moosh up.
No, I'm
Real.
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing. I want to see if Moosh will defend themselves.
From now on, whenever you guys see me, you're a killer.
Who sent that? That's a wrap, folks. That was funny. That was funny.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you. We try our best. You have a good night too.
Any other
And I'd also
questions?
like to say, if people in here have ideas, feel free to put in suggestions. Like, that's what that's for. If you have any ideas, there are plenty of bad ideas. There are some actually really good ideas and suggestions that people have made that definitely, at least some of us, will be pretty involved in. I know, especially with some of the horse vocalizations that I've seen, I'd like to have some involvement with those people because I don't know shit about horse vocalizations. But yeah, if you have ideas or you have suggestions, feel free to do that. That's why that's there.
Yeah, we unfortunately do read all of them.
Thought only good suggestions come every 3 months. A
He
lot of
did. Well,
suggestions
I'd
people
say
give are
longer than
good.
that.
There's good suggestions. It's just like people don't read, and now a
Mhm.
good suggestion might be like a species or whatever, and like why it should be added. It it's not that we don't like those suggestions. It's just if we keep adding animals or features or whatever to our log, it's just gonna make everything longer to come out. So that's really
Yeah,
maybe
and a
when the
lot of
game's
those
more
animals have no
finished.
reason being there.
Yeah, but like I like stupid roster spots as much as anybody else. It's just I have to actually make them. Some animals aren't worth it. Like I'm gonna remodel the capybara, but I was ready to just like remove it fully.
I forgot about capybara. I'm not gonna lie.
I think our conversation a month or two back was should capybara be playable or should it be AI?
Well, yeah, it should be playable.
I mean,
I
it's
don't know.
bigger
I
than
don't
like
think
the
Game would
smallest
do great in
carnivore,
the
so
mangroves we're doing right now.
I really don't know if people will play it.
They
you'd be
would.
surprised the amount of
They
people I
would.
get like in the game chat that like DM me like when's Capybara coming out.
Are you telling me more people are going to play that than Jaguar or Lion or
One may
Direwolf?
hope. One may hope. Definitely not though. People
That's
play the
not a
hell out
fair
of cats.
comparison now. Don't bring that up.
Okay, a fair
They might play
comparison.
them more than
Would
they'd probably
who
play them more than white-tailed deer. I'll
who
say
would get
that.
played more, capybara or peccary?
Capybara.
That depends.
You think kids would just play capybara since it's a capybara?
Well,
If
you
you
can see
play
the
peccary,
difference in
just
chat.
doing it
Almost universally, it's Cappy, Cappy, Cappy.
No one under the age of 10 knows what peccary is unless they live in that area. No one knows what peccary is.
yes, fan art for the game is accepted. I don't know if that person's in here. I forgot to react when I read that. I don't know. Just drop stuff in here. Animated banner again. Just drop it in there. I'm not artistically creative outside of models.
You've been chased up a tree in real life or
Bruh. I had an old
Yeah, I have
friend
a
that
feeling Cappies would be played more
I'm
frequently
not
than
gonna
white-tailed deer.
lie. Any animal smaller than like what's the realistic? Any animal smaller than a mountain lion, I promise I can't physically and mentally let that thing kill me. And I know what a peccary's mouth look like. I think I'll just like die as I'm trying to kill it. I think that's just an ego thing. Like I couldn't let animals smaller than the mountain lion kill me. Even the mountain lion, I told myself it's gonna kill me, but I'm gonna have to kill it too. Peccaries killed my old neighborhoods. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, peccaries are they're not a joke, but capybaras are also they can also be pretty bad. They got some real bad teeth.
I've seen less.
I wouldn't say they're necessarily the same because I'd
I
much
think
rather
mentally.
deal with a capybara than a peccary. But
I think mentally, just a capybara really does not want to like go out its way to attack anybody. But I've seen some. Emus are mean. People say donkeys are mean. I don't really think donkeys are mean. I just think they're like I think they're comparable to like protection or livestock guardian dogs. They're just wary. But I think horses bite more people than donkeys. I haven't met a mean donkey. Ponies are the mean ones. I've never met a mean pony too, but I think that's just because they're feisty. I think it's just any animal that's small becomes feisty. No, emus are mean. I've never met a cool emu. They always have some problem. Now they might not peck at you, but they might have an attitude with you.
I can't say I have any particular history with ratites. I can say pigs are mean though. I don't mess around with pigs, especially feral pigs.
I tried to pet an emu. Now, of course, if it doesn't want me to pet it, it shouldn't let me. But it was what it kept doing was it'd stick its head out the cage, and then I'd put my hand towards it, and it just like it'd run its little stupid head away from me. So that's a human issue. I was 5, so was it my issue? I don't know.
Chase by a goose once.
I personally don't like emus. That's just my thing. But I like birds. My favorite bird. I think my favorite bird is different than my favorite bird of prey. I don't think I classify them like a songbird or like it's just
I
small.
haven't checked up on the bird roster. Isn't condor the largest bird that's being added to Sonora?
I think so. The largest bird you said? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, do we still have Territornis? Do we still have that? Or is that
Yeah.
technically the condor? Okay.
Territornis is planned to be a carcass bully, at least in regards to other birds.
Like a white what vulture am I thinking of?
It would bully
Lappet?
condor.
A lappet face vulture? Is that what you're
Yeah.
thinking?
Aren't those the ones that like bully everything else off carcasses? What species am I thinking of?
Yeah, Lappet. But basically condor will be the one that'll essentially I hope we are able to make it so kind of like how Wild Savannah had it where the meat texture shows up on a carcass and then certain animals can eat it. So condor would start the process. Paratorn wouldn't be able to until condors quote unquote open it up. And then they eat
Mm.
up the condors away. Um in regards to other birds, I did want to add a giant owl. I still kind of want to. We'll see how that goes. Because some people had some quarrels with it being a made up species, which I don't see why we can't do it because all these dinosaur games get to have made up species.
Bretsia,
Oh
we don't
yeah.
even have that much fossils on Bretsia. We
No.
got that. We don't even have
There
it.
are fragmentary fossils of giant owls, so we'll have to do our research from there. Other than that, there is a possibility we could add golden eagles because they do range into Sonora.
To
The
answer
only
your
issue is they would primarily be like an AI carnivore, which I mean, for birds, I don't really think that's as much as an issue as if it's say a mammal.
to answer your question, I think Augusta. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Augusta though,
I'm
right?
not gonna get into
Um,
another
I think they
taxonomy
were.
argument.
Yeah, I'm pretty
No,
sure
I'm
they were
asking is that the
the
one
same.
that you're
Oh, I know, but I'm not gonna answer it. Jaguar's a jaguar.
well yeah, they're
Yeah,
both Jaguar. I think that person's just asking because of like size.
Yeah.
I mean,
As of
if
right
you're looking
now,
for a taxonomy answer, I'm pretty sure they're both just considered the same. I'm pretty sure they're both been synonymized with just Panthera onca.
Oh yeah, no, I
yeah,
don't think there's anything different between them but just the population
Yeah.
size, like
there
the
is
size of
like
individuals.
some mentions of Augusta having slightly longer legs, but who cares?
Even
At the
then,
end of
you
the
could just
day,
chalk that up to being size.
yeah, at the end of the
But that's
day,
the issue with taxonomy.
the size is going to depend on what we need it to be efficient in its niche in the game. As of right
Mhm.
now, it's just pentanol size.
Yeah, and that's just the issue with like don't want to get super like integrated in taxonomy discussions. That's why you can call the Pleistocene red wolf, Pleistocene coyote, or even Pleistocene eastern wolf. You can really call it whatever because the animal that's in the game is just the species that help produce those modern animals that we have. So it's really none of those. It's just it's a taxonomical discussion. So you can call it Panthera onca augusta just for the North American jaguar, or you can just call it Panthera onca. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
You know,
it's going to look the same.
I actually didn't know that Pleistocene coyote was just a red wolf. I didn't know that.
Well, that's
Well,
still being like frequently debated. It's
yeah,
something that has evidence for it, but also is still getting pushback. But regardless of what it is, the animal that's in game is could be referred to as any of the modern species. Pleistocene coyote, Pleistocene red wolf, Pleistocene eastern wolf. It doesn't really matter. It's
yeah.
just silly taxonomy.
At the end of the day, it's a lighter built canis. That's all that matters.
I feel like when I look at red wolf, I don't really like. Even though they give off coyote vibes, I feel like they're just not. So
Well,
calling it a
modern red
Pleistocene
wolves are
coyote.
like average, like modern red wolf is like 60, 80 pounds. So they're substantially larger than most coyotes.
I think people just say it because almost dropped my bag. People just like to say it because of how like snippy they are. But like you said, call it what you want. It's the same animal,
Yeah, at the
just
end of
Mhm.
the
over
day,
time different a little bit. Same animal.
we're the same that made up whole species based on in-game animals back in the day for our realisms.
Am I on break or what? No, I'm off. I'm just waiting for my train to be almost here to start
Why moosh
walking.
pressing people, bro?
I don't know, and it's about to blow me.
Stop clock watching, yo.
The red wolf coyote debate will never finish. They're both good dogs. They're both good dogs. That's all. Any more questions? Because I am going to wrap this up for me, at least.
It's
Very
gonna be
soon.
wrapped up in general. It's lasted longer than I expected. It's going on 2 hours and
Yeah,
10 minutes.
no one really has any obligation to stay if they don't want to. It's purely just
Yeah,
dragging it out at this point.
Because I
Yes,
joined.
they will. That's really the whole reason they were changed to like the Pleistocene variant, because modern coyotes, and if I'm just going to call it Pleistocene coyote for simplicity and just easiest name, Pleistocene coyotes are structurally and anatomically more like red wolves. They have broader skulls, shorter tails, longer legs, broader teeth. So their entire thing is they're eating larger prey more frequently than coyotes were. So what that is that's a mesopredator versus macro predator. So a macro predator is hunting, say, white-tailed deer and peccary more frequent than the mesopredator, which is mostly hunting, say, small birds, mice, and rabbits. I don't know if maybe as an AI, I don't really think they would be a playable.
It's a whole uh like thing between me and King. Who's gonna model it? Who's gonna animate it? Who's gonna it is that it comes down to that, whether it becomes an AI or a playable or
real.
it becomes in the game at all. That's how it was with like Skunk and like the the damn Bobcat argument we've had for a while.
Skunk's just funny because it can spray anything. A skunk spraying a jaguar or a puma is gonna have the same effect as spraying a lion.
Was he just
Yeah,
gonna
I mean, plus there's also the fact that skunks are pretty generalist omnivores, so they can do fairly well because they're not like hunting things that are way bigger or way smaller than they are.
I'm completely down to when like the game is further in the future, have a little small animal update
Yeah,
where we
because
release those
it's
type of
gonna be
species. But
a
now,
marine coastline. It would be a serious injustice for us to not add some like a bunch of AI, especially like more birds and stuff. It would essentially look dead atmospherically.
yeah, and plus I kind of just want to. I kind of just want. Or I don't know. Are we still on the fence about gray fox? I remember we talked
Uh,
about that a lot when like back then. Can you not hear me? Is it bad?
Gray fox is a banned word. I don't want to hear that word.
Hello?
No,
He's
you can
cooked.
hear you. It's just you you brought fear into the chat while we were mentioning Gray Fox. The big issue with adding Gray Fox is, at least with like raccoons and skunks, you have that situation in which that they have quite a lot of variability in what they're eating and what they're doing. Like raccoons are obviously good climbers. They're far more varied in what they're eating. So they're eating like berries, grasses, seafood, carcasses. They can eat really just about anything. Same with skunks to a degree. They have their spray ability for defense. So there's discussions for there. Gray foxes are a predator. They are a mesopredator, and they're mostly eating things that are like way smaller than them. And some of the smallest AI is like equal in size to gray foxes.
Yeah. I would say you guys have a better chance of advocating for more mesopredators for another Sonora project we have.
Yes, there will be like context specific sounds for different environments. So different environments will have different will have like different soundtracks playing. So maybe more coastal sounds like waves and seabirds by like the coastline, mangrove sounds, all that kind of stuff. So there'll be, I don't know how we'll be able to do that, but I remember you saying that, King, that we'll try to have like different types of sounds and soundtracks for different environments.
Yeah. I'd much rather have the biome based soundtracks, which essentially at the most basic level would be music that plays during the day and music that plays during the night. Um, Either it would have to be integrated into the ambience itself, or it would have to be on a whole nother different script that fires off at different times. Because obviously it'd be a little
Mhm.
awkward to have peaceful music playing while you're getting your throat ripped out.
Yeah. I'll say as well, raccoon, while it has a better chance than gray fox, I still wouldn't think would have a great chance of being a playable, mostly due to the fact that it's significantly smaller than most of the roster, which is more Pleistocene based. I think if you're thinking Mesopredator, you'd have a better chance with like maybe trying to think of like what other Mesopredators there are that are not like the most say 50 pounds or below. I would probably call black bear a mesopredator in this ecosystem, but I don't know if black bears are considered on the roster or not, or if there's even a discussion around them or not.
Black Bear is planned for the other project, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, there will be named areas on the new map. Because honestly, I'm gonna keep it another $1.50 with you guys. I hate the current map again. I already hate it. Um, I'm probably just gonna wait to do stuff unless it's like convenient to do it on the new old map, as well as transfer it over to the new map. But expect me to like let the community name locations. I don't, unlike some other developers, I don't really care about you guys naming stuff.
You guys do have to come up with better names though, because some of the names are pretty ridiculous,
Yeah.
especially for the current map.
um I will settle on the final map, Moosh. As I said, that map brings me joy, and it doesn't even have anything on it yet. Matter
It
of
has
fact,
some mangrove areas.
I stream it a little bit for the people that stayed longer? I think I'll stream it a little bit. Let me open Studio. It'll take me a little bit.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and hop out. If people have any further questions, then you could at me and say off topic or somewhere, depending on what it is, and I'd be happy to answer anything else if people have further issues or just questions. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Yeah, just give me a minute for this to load up, but feel free to ask me anything else while I wait for this. No, this is how you sound, Moosh. Well, I've already upgraded the horse night vision from what it used to be. I do want to make it so that we have a moon cycle eventually, and it's significantly brighter when it's a full moon. So you'll get that at least, but horse is just one of the animals as of right now where it'll have poor night vision. Maybe we can bring up it having a deer level night vision in the future. I just don't know enough about horses because there's some sources that'll say horses don't have good night vision. There's other sources that say that they do. I do know, however, that things like bison will have the current horse night vision. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, Candy. I'm biased, but yes, Aatrox is my favorite playable that will come to the game. That's why it is my profile picture. But I'm mostly excited for all the roaring it'll do. Unfortunately for you guys, I cannot mess with the soundboard in here, I don't think. It's still going to be an all-white horse, just the name is changing. It'll also essentially, what that basically means, it's still going to be an all-white horse, but it'll have a few black dots here and there. And it'll come with different variations of different levels of black dots. It's like some will be a little bit more dotty, others more clear. But it's just to make it more accurate to leopard complex. So I don't have to hear people whining about the technicalities. Because originally it wasn't even called Perlino or Cremella or whatever. It was just going to be a leucistic horse, but apparently leucistic horses don't exist genetically. I don't know. White horse is white horse to me. All right, the map's loading. Yeah, it's loading, bruh. Just hoping it actually like streams the screen and not just my character in the top right. And again, Perlino, quote unquote Perlino, its version, its level of leopard complex, it's still going to be a limited skin. That's not going to change, and the price is not going to change. I'm going to screen share the final map, which I think it's ready to look at now. Let's see. So hopefully I don't get laggy.
You have
I
another
do have
question,
weird
King?
internet. I might have an answer.
I hope you have one.
I don't know where the seawater went. Oh wait, no, that is the seawater. Shut up, bruh. Yeah, here it is. So this is the map right now. We just got started on the mangroves, but obviously don't expect them to just look like this by the time we're done. We're gonna try and work our way up into the interior of the islands. As you can see, it's gonna be more arid in the north. Another mangrove area here. These more open areas are probably gonna stay open for more grasslandish. I might have a river system that goes down through here and goes out to the mangroves. And then it's gonna be more of a tropical forest in the south here. And then more tropical down on this end as well. And then high elevations, because these mountains might get reshaped just a little bit, but I like the way they are now. And just for scale, this is Colombian mammoth compared to the map. And that is like a max size Colombian mammoth too. So the biggest they can get. Some other critters.
Did
And
you see the
obviously,
question about the Perlino king?
no.
Someone was asking if it's being removed from the inventory of people who have it now when it updates.
No, it's gonna stay there. Same way that the
Deer.
skins, yeah, the deer, the game pass is gonna be the same game pass that you guys bought for the deer before. That's not going anywhere. So when the piebald, whitetail, and mule deer come out, the compensation game pass is the game pass that you bought. So it'll just be in there automatically.
You wouldn't be expected to pay an extra. You wouldn't just have it removed from you.
Yeah, I'm not a bum like that. Because again, I'm not trying to squeeze every cent out of you guys. Any money I do make off the game is just, you know, a nice little thing to have. It's not that important to me. If I want to make money off Roblox, I'll make a money-oriented game. I don't think survival games should be that. You're an egg.
No, I wouldn't say all that. I would say he is, but you know.
Explode terraquets. And do expect some of the stats to change in correlation with the map. So overall, all sprint speeds for every animal are going to be a little bit faster. Just so you guys can cover ground better, because this map is better than the current map. I mean, not better. Well, it is better, but it's bigger. And obviously, you're going to have to deal with water. And again, expect currents in the water pushing you around. Eventually, there will be crocodiles and maybe other aquatic predators. So it would be a pain to go back and forth all the time. And everybody's going to spawn on this side. You're going to have to try and get
So
over
yeah,
there if you want to. By Kendry. But I think that's all, Terror.